So read is giving us an integer. That's not what we want. How about if we use read key? What is that giving us? That's giving us a key info. How about read line? What does that give us? That gives us a string. So I think that's going to be the good one for now. Mm-hmm. So read gives us a key info. Read key gives us, remember, every character is associated with a number. Mm-hmm. And so that that's what we would have had to read. We would have had to read the number itself, right? So read line, you have to press enter, but I think it'll work out for now. That's fine. So let's go ahead and run this, and I want to see how this behaves. So it's select an action. So let's press C and then press enter.
Whoa.
Whoa. Control C to kill that. So while, oh, you know what? We need to have line 20 inside the while.
Okay.
So go ahead and put it right at top. And this here, we're going to have to add a new case. And let's just go ahead and do a default after D. Oh, wait a second. We need to initialize that variable outside of the while, but we need to assign it inside the while. So yeah, so at line 20, yeah, initialize that variable. It'll just be var action equals, and then just give it empty quotes, empty double quotes. Okay. And then get rid of the var on line 24, because a var is initializing that variable. We don't need to initialize it anymore. Okay. And get rid of line 21. All right, let's run this, see what we get. All right, press C. Press R. Press U. Press D and X. Close this. And I think that or is an and. So it's double ampersand. Ampersand is a shift 7. Yeah. Let's try that, see if that works. So let's try C and try X. There it is. So it exited out. Nice. Okay, cool. So now we got a way to go and grab a particular record, right? So instead of doing the console write line, you pressed R on line 30. Mm-hmm. Let's go and call a method called display record. Okay. Display record. Capital D display record, capital R Pascal display record. And then inside the parenthesis, you're going to pass in the action. It's lowercase a, yeah. And then end it with a semicolon. All right, so in here, we're going to call this method and we're going to send in the action. So in here, oh, you know what? Sorry. No, we don't need to get rid of action. On line 30, you can get rid of action. And then on line 42, get rid of the string action. We don't need that. Okay. So line 44, we're going to replace it with we're going to replace it with a console write line. And we're gonna send a message to the user saying, provide record ID. All right. And then, oh, you know what? Instead of console write line, do a console write. Get rid of line. We'll keep it all in the same line. And then put a colon at the end of ID. And then a space. All right, cool. And on the next line, you're gonna do console read. What is console read giving us? Let's play around with that console read. Open close parenthesis, yeah, and then semicolon.
Oh.
What is that giving us? Hover over read. So, oh, this is giving us an integer. This is perfect. This is what we need.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and create a variable called int ID before the console read. It's gonna, that console read is gonna assign it to your variable and just lowercase ID equals, yep. Perfect. And let's go ahead after the line 45, let's do a console write line ID. Let's see what we get. Let's run this and see what we get here. Okay, so press R and then press 2. Okay, so this is giving us the character value. So 2 happens to be character 50.
Mm-hmm.
So do a R again, R and then press enter. And then press 3. You see, it's character number 51. Remember that ASCII chart that I told you about?
Yeah.
Every character is represented by a number.
Mm-hmm.
So what we need to do is go ahead and hit X, press enter. Okay, let's go back to the program. And let's do, how do we convert? We're going to cast this ID as a character. So before ID, you're going to do double parentheses. I'm sorry, just parentheses. And then inside do char, C-H-A-R. Let's see if that converts it. So go ahead and run this. So let's go ahead and read or display a record and then put 2.
Oops.
Okay, and then let's try 3. Let's do R. And then try 3. Okay, cool. So we're converting that character value to a character. Because let's watch, go do, press R again. And then type in T. You see how it used to give us a number because it represented that character number.
Yeah.
And we're casting it. We're doing an explicit cast to the actual character itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and we could do a lot more with it, but just to get through and displaying that one record, we're going to go ahead and work with this. Go ahead and go back. So now that we got the ID that we want to display, you need to go and do the exact same thing we did at list birthdays, but now we're going to execute birthdays underscore by ID or select by ID. So yeah, no, we're not going to copy. We're going to type it. There's value in typing it. No. We have to do that whole thing over again. The whole using SQL connection.
Oh.
And using SQL command. We're going to do that whole thing again.
Inside this parenthesis?
No, go ahead and press enter.
Okay.
Go for it. Using. Remember, you let the IDE do the work for you. So if you backspace and then tab, there you go.
Cool. connection equals new SQL connection. And then inside we're doing just the ID.
No, remember, you got to do that connection string,
Oh, the whole thing.
the whole thing. You're basically going to copy, you're going to do the whole thing over again. But this time, instead of calling birthdays select all, we're going to say birthdays underscore select by ID.
Okay.
Yeah, so this time we're going to, inside of double quotes, we're going to call birthdays underscore select by ID. And we may want to verify that that's the name of the store procedure we're calling.
Select by ID. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Then you want to close your double quotes.
Oh, yeah.
What else do we need in there?
Parentheses, the connection.
So go back to the end of conn, C-O-N-N, go back to the end.
Yeah.
Press enter. You see when you're at the end, when you're done, instead of like with your mouse going outside, just press enter right where you're at. And it automatically takes you to where it's what's next. So the Visual Studio helps you to move quicker. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have to retype that connection string over again?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it? So let's go ahead and copy that inside of the class program. Press enter. And just indicate that you want to create a new variable called, it's a string type. You have to specify string. There you go, string. It has to be a string, not a var.
Oh.
And then this is going to be called CONN string equals, and paste that puppy right in there and finish it off with a semicolon and press enter. So now copy that conn string, that variable, and go and replace it down at the bottom. Get rid of the double quotes and everything. So now we're replacing that value with a variable. Same thing with the bottom one. So now the reason it's giving you an error is because we need to make that a static. So go and create in front of it, call it static. In front of string. Yeah, static. All right, let's see if the error went away. Nice, it did.
Cool.
All right, so let's continue on. You got more work on that display record. What else do we need to do?
And do the while statement.
No, what we're gonna do, what's after command type?
Command type. Oh, open connection.
Now, you could do a while statement here after you do the reader. Go ahead and press enter. You could do a while statement, but you're only reading one record because that ID is only going to exist once in the database, right? A while statement is if you're going to do a bunch of records, right? But we know we're only going to get one. So we can actually do an if statement here. So if reader.read, why is that complaining? Hover over it. Oh, because look at line 47, you already have an ID up there. So we need to rename that ID on line 47. Let's rename the one on line 47. Right click on it and rename it. And so this one is, let's call it record ID. So lowercase record, uppercase I, lowercase d. Yep, press enter. Okay,
Right.
now that works. Continue.
Have to put that if statement.
So date of death, right? What does line 84 look like?
Why?
Because remember, the date of death could potentially be a null value. And date time happens to be a primitive and can't be a null value. But so we have to make it a nullable type. Well, look at that line 85.
Yep.
And line 84. What's going on? What's the difference between line 84 and your line 61?
Yes.
Okay, and then on line 84 and 85, how does that format? Imagine Mark Zuckerberg was doing the exact same thing you're doing right now.
I could be the next Facebook right now.
So as you're doing the next one, so you do your console write line, and then $, double quote, and then go back and fill in the information.
Notoriety.
and then do curly brace, curly brace. There you go. And then go back and fill it in. That way, you know, you're not losing your space, because otherwise it gets confusing. And as these string interpolations become longer and longer, it's even more important to keep track of all that.
Got it.
What's wrong with notoriety? Nice. All right. And so at the end of this, yeah, you can get rid of that last line. So at the end of this, it just goes back into the loop, right? Because everything came from that loop. So go back up to the top of your code here, all the way to the top. So right here, right? So we're inside this loop. If you press R, it's going to go and display the record. It's going to break and it's going to go back into the loop.